My name is Bob Stone. I'm the chair of the Underhill Selectboard. Today is the 16th of January. It is now 6 o'clock here at the town hall. We have an agenda that has been warned before us. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Are there any changes or omissions to the agenda as presented to everyone?
In here.
I'd like to add, just to update you on some truck repairs that are.
Truck repairs, so I would think that we could put that in. Why don't we do that after the review and sign the loan documents for the dump truck? How about that? Or we can do it before or after the dump truck.
What's that? Anywhere's fine.
After?
Sure.
Update from Russ.
I do have, we can talk about it when we get to the warning,
Okay.
but I do have a petition from Underhill Jericho Food Hub, if you remember those folks. So we can, if it's okay, we just talk about it at the, when we get to the warning.
Okay, got you in there. Any other omissions or changes to the agenda? Okay, well then let's go. First item on the agenda is the open public comment. There do not see anyone here at the town hall. Is there anybody virtually joining us tonight?
Where's Larry?
I don't see anyone, so we'll move on to the next item. Welcome Larry Lewak. Lewak? Am I pronouncing that right?
Lewak.
Lewak?
I think he's just gonna start the planning commission meeting and come down.
All right, well, we'll come back to Larry once he gets those folks situated up there. They're a rowdy bunch.
We can crank out the next item if you want.
Yep, next item, we'll move on to, and then we'll come back to Larry once he gets available. We're gonna review and certify the 2025 VTrans mileage certificate. No changes from last year, Brad.
We did have someone pop in during the public comment period. Bill Wilson's here. I don't know if you're, Bill, if you're here for public comment or here just to check things out.
Here to check things out.
Okay, great. Good to see you.
Thank you.
You're right on it today.
I was just making sure he wasn't here.
No, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks.
Sure, it'd be a long wait to the closing public.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, so it's up to you, Brad. Should we sign the mileage certificate for VTrans if there's no changes from last year?
I would recommend doing that. So just for Maureen's sake, every year we certify to the mileage we have for class 3 to highways.
Okay.
Last year we made a very slight adjustment of 0.14 of a mile. We basically took no action. I didn't see anything anomalous on the mileage certificate or on the mileage map. So basically sign this each year. We'll just check no changes. Bob has the form. And that's how we get paid for in lieu of, or not in lieu of, but our state aid to highways.
Okay.
So move that the chair sign the VTrans mileage certificate. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, are you ready for the question? Okay, all those in favor of signing the 2025 VTrans mileage certificate as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. Motion carries 4-0. Next item is to review and sign the loan documents for the 2025 dump truck. So I'll move that we sign the 2025 loan documents for the 2025 dump truck. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'll just give you an update on the truck if you'd like.
Please do. Yeah.
So the truck is completed up to the body being installed. So it's at that paint right now, which they call the blackout, which they paint the plow frame and the wing tower and everything they've added to the truck. So that's that paint right now. They're expecting the body early to mid next week. So that comes all painted. So when that comes in, they will set it on the truck and do the lights and the tarp and all that stuff. So it shouldn't be too much longer. We should be seeing it.
That's right.
Who puts that together?
Viking Surveys out of Williston. There used to be 3 body companies within the area, one in Barrie, one in Morrisville, and this one in Williston. And now they're the only ball game in town. So the other two are kind of combined. They're out of New Hampshire, southern New Hampshire, can't remember the town, but
So everybody throughout the state goes to Viking.
at least the northern part of the state. In the southern part, they can still get over to the other. But yeah, it's pretty much they're the only ball game in town, or for us at least, without traveling long distance.
Any other discussion?
Or is the verbiage in the loan documents and all the subsequent documents, is that from the bank? Everything's required of the bank? Who put the 10 million limit in there? Do you know? Like, how do they calculate that?
Hang on a minute.
They said during the calendar year,
Oh,
the town of Underhill will not issue debt of any sort aggregating 10 million or more. Like, what is that based on? Not that we're gonna go issue debt for 10 million. I'm just
I don't know,
curious.
but.
You know something we don't know?
It is a little odd, isn't it?
So
I don't
What
recall
difference
seeing
does that
that
make? Yeah. what
in
difference does that make?
other loan documents. I just was curious what that was.
we have good credit.
Well, it's certainly safe to say that,
It's-
We won't be.
Yeah, exactly. I just was
but it is a
curious
little odd, I agree with you. I
why
think
that was, who came up with the number? I was
it's
curious.
a banker.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
I just had one note, just because today is the 16th, the letter from the bank, it said that if the loan fails to close on or before January 16th, that don't have to observe these terms, but I'm assuming that like it's Union Bank and they're not gonna have a hard time with us
Yeah,
turning this up in tomorrow.
The actual loan documents themselves, if you look at the signature page, is the 17th.
I saw
So
that and just
that's
assumed
the-
that was fine, but,
You approve the terms of the loan, but Sherry signs the loan as
Okay.
treasurer.
okay.
So she has to, since she's not here, she's got to sign the loan. So I've got all the places marked
Mhm.
for your signatures, and then Sherry will sign it and send it off to the bank.
Okay.
So, and they're a local bank, Union Bank.
Mhm.
Dealt with them for quite some time.
In one of the documents, I think a date needs to be changed. It's just a flag for Sherry.
Sure.
It looks like an IRS document, information return for tax exempt government agencies, says date of issuance 1/10. That should, unlikely that needs to be changed.
Well, that was probably,
Something we had to have.
we had
Originally,
before when these were in the packet we had for
Yes, exactly,
yeah.
but does that matter?
I don't think so.
It's not
No,
really being
that's
issued,
not one of the, actually Sherry even told me that I didn't even need to include those
yeah. Got it.
documents, but I did.
Just a heads up for her to go, any
Yeah,
date issues, because we
Okay, check
canceled the
date
meeting
issues.
on you guys last week.
we will do that.
Everything looks good to me.
Any other discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor of the signing of the 2025 dump truck loan, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Those opposed with a nay. Any abstentions? Ayes appear to have it. I do have it. Motion carries 4-0.
Woohoo.
Okay, Russ, any other updates?
Yeah, I just want to update you guys on some truck repair issues. As you know, we've been going pretty nonstop for a while, and the 2018, which is our oldest plow truck, had a hydraulic pump failure, which is about a $2,500 part. Luckily, we had a rebuilt one in stock, and we've been just waiting for a time that we needed it, and we actually needed it, so we saved that expense, and it's actually going to be repairable, and I bought the parts today to repair it, which is a couple $100. And Leanne Kinsley, who did some of our grading for us, is going to come to the shop and rebuild it for us,
Nice.
which I thought was nice.
That's awesome.
He's retired and needs something to do, so he said, "You get the parts, I'll get it rebuilt for you." So we'll have another spare one
Oh, that's great.
back on the shelf. So we saved, dodged a little bullet on that one.
Well done.
But as well, the 2018 has the main cylinder that lifts the dump body is leaking, which that needs to be replaced. And again, Viking will be the ones that will need to replace that. I expect that to be about $1,500. Well, it's not a totally huge repair, but it's working, but it does need to be replaced. So if it does fail, it won't be able to lift the dump body. And we're just going to wait, get a nice day and Viking's able to do it. They said, like, call me and we could run it down. It takes about 4 hours to change. We have a couple trucks that have failing bed chains, which the bed chain is the chain that feeds the sand out of the truck. It's made all a bunch of joints, and the joints are wearing out. Viking is out of them. They've had a mad rush on them. So I put our name on a couple that they have coming in, just so you know, they're probably in the vicinity of $1,200 to $1,300 each. But again, Viking's bodies, Viking's parts. So, and we will be able to change those in-house, so we don't have to have them do the repairs. So over that price limit, but just so for the spending limit, but I just wanted, it's parts that we gotta have to keep the trucks rolling.
Yeah.
Other than that, we've had some minor repairs. We've been able to do most in-house. We did have that same truck go down yesterday morning, and you all hopefully saw the email that I did send to Allegiance, but they stepped right up to the plate big time for us and got that truck back on the road. So I did also, I was in Williston today, and I actually went to Crumble Cookie and bought a bunch of Crumble Cookies. Brought them, so they were very appreciative of that. So
We're appreciative of their service.
yes, it's you know, I kind of joked about my email to them, but I said, you know, it's priceless to us to have you so close and to jump right on it at 7 o'clock when they opened the door, and we were there at 6:30 waiting for them, and they took great care of us. So other than that, we're going strong. Said attitudes are great. Doesn't matter what time I call them, they're on their way. Most of the time they're already up and ready, which is pretty cool.
And even Russ's attitude's great. Even when he's stuck behind a Casella truck that slid sideways on the road and his truck was on the other side of it for hours.
Over 2 hours.
Over
Yes.
2 hours.
At Paul Cook's?
Up at the end of Paul Cook. I didn't know he was up there. And so I got to the top of the hill and he was up at the top, and I'm like, oh no. So he couldn't get going. And finally he got himself going and backed into our turnaround. So I plowed by him and sanded it really good so he could pull back out. But you've seen those Casella trucks, they're longer than a school bus, and they really shouldn't be up there. And when he tried to pull back out of the turnaround, he couldn't make the turn. So when he went to back up and get another crank, the Ascen just slid right in and into the ditch. And so he was completely sideways behind me, and I was on the other side of him. So
These things
You can do.
they do. The guy was very apologetic, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was pretty much the last road I had to plow. So that was a good thing.
Better than that on
and of
first
course,
road.
Dwayne was down, so
Yeah.
Ken did his due diligence and buzzed around to finish any little stuff we had left. So great teamwork.
Yes.
Couldn't ask for a better team.
Good job.
So
Good job.
Good.
that's all I got.
So how did, because we spent money on radios.
Mhm.
And how did those come in handy during, it's a good thing to report on
Fantastic.
what we expend our money in.
Especially right there at the end of Paul Cook Road. Because there would have been there's no service.
You would have been
And-
totally isolated
Yeah,
without the radio.
unless somebody's close by.
Because you don't even get cell service there.
No, so
Yeah.
it's been so nice. And we've used them several times.
And for the public, we have radios. These are UHF radios. So we have a different radio, different frequency, just for the people's sake here, right?
Yes.
To explain that we've always had radios in
Yes.
our truck.
Yeah.
These are new radios that extend or ping off the mountain
Right.
to give us better communication.
Where we can reach all over town, and they have.
They delivered.
They definitely have.
delivered.
Ways to have the right equipment.
And then there's the other little quick part about Paul Cook Road. I did end up having John Angelino come in with a pickup to finish plowing the road and sand it good so the wrecker could get up there and not have any issue. So thank John for coming in to do that as well.
Excellent.
Very good. All right, Russ.
Thank you.
Well, now we're back to where we started from. Larry's here. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we're good to finally have a planer back in our mix and lineup. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a long time coming for us, but we're glad to finally see you.
Glad to be here. Yeah, I'm still settling in. There's a fair amount to learn, and I've got this binder here, which has all the land use regs that I have to dig through, and I've just focused on a couple of topics so far with the Planning Commission, and hope to do more to move them forward, particularly in terms of drafting some land use regulations to take the work that's been done and actually bring it to the point where it's ready for public hearing and then ready to be passed on to the select board after the Planning Commission has finished tweaking it. And I've been through that cycle many times in my previous job in Charlotte, and then before that in the town of Bolton, many cycles of updating land use regs. So, I think we're going to start by prioritizing the things that are, I call them pain points at our first meeting, the things about the regulations that people run into that really don't seem to make sense at all. They kind of defy common sense, if not defy state statute. Of course, the legislature has been pretty busy the last couple of years changing land use statutes. And so there's going to be a number of areas that are under land use regs are out of compliance with state statute. And so that would be a priority set of changes to make. And we'll be working on those, I think, this winter and spring. And hopefully you'll be seeing some of those drafts, I would say by the end of the winter or beginning of spring, that you can then consider them. And I can certainly provide guidance about how to read them so you don't get overwhelmed with the technical language. And, for example, one of the things I did in Charlotte was to prepare a guidance document next to the drafts that you could read side by side. And the guidance document has a chart which explains the purpose, rationale, and effects of every change that's proposed. So, people who are unfamiliar with a particular issue can just sort of read the plain English version of it and not get tangled up in the wording. And I've also worked with the same law firm that this town uses, Charlotte used, to make sure that attorneys who understand the nuances of land use regs have the opportunity to review the drafts before they are adopted, to make sure that we're not running afoul of what we're allowed to do under state statute, and that we're not adopting rules that contradict each other. And that makes the town look really bad if we're not aware of that kind of stuff. So. I put together actually a little business card today, which I'll hand out if it's helpful to you. You're welcome to take one, and if you ever want to chat offline, or just come in on a day when I'm here. I'm here usually about a day a week. So it'll always be the first and third Thursdays, because that's when the Planning Commission meets, and then in the week in between, I'll pick whatever day seems to be most convenient for me and for the town to come in. And otherwise, I'm working remotely. I do have access to email and can check voicemail messages remotely and respond to emails as well, and do a lot of my research online, and drafts.
So if I am listening between the lines, it sounds like you're enjoying yourself.
So far, yeah. I mean, I decided to, Jennifer called me kind of out of the blue and asked me if I'd be interested in applying for this. And,
we got your name.
Mark Hamlin, one of our DRB members of the planning conference.
Oh, yeah.
I think he met
That's
you.
right. Yeah, because I had thought before I retired at the end of November that if opportunities came up for me to do part-time work or contract work, that I would consider that, because I wanted to leverage what I know how to do and do well, not anything close to full-time. And so this job seemed like a perfect match in a lot of ways, 1 to 2 days a week, flexible hours in the office and outside, the ability to work remotely. So far so good. I don't have any reason to think that this isn't going to work out for me, and it seems to be working out for the town so far.
It's good to have someone with a good amount of experience be able to jump right in. So thank you.
We're glad to have you. Thank you.
Your leadership is going to be very valued with the Planning Commission.
Yeah.
Look forward to your reports.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
All right.
So we are doing very well. It's 20 after, and we are at the 6:30 mark for the agenda. So the next item that we have is going to be to discuss bridge number 7, the future replacement. Brad?
So I included, so we've had 3, VTrans has done 3 structural analysis or structural inspections on Bridge 7. They're typically on a 2-year cycle. So we had one done in 2022 as a regular cycle. Then if you remember, 2023 was the big floods in Jeffersonville, Cambridge area. And Route 15 was shut down for a long time. Bob was up at the Emergency Operations Center. We were getting a lot of heavy traffic on Pleasant Valley Road. So he put in a request to do just another quick study. And then this year, this August, we're back on our regular biannual schedule. So we've had 3 inspections each time. 22, 23, and 24 have been similar and consistent. The bridge is rated as fair, but yet you can see the deterioration in the wing walls and the girders, so forth. And our engineer, Cricket Plusker, is still very adamant that the bridge needs replacement. VTrans also recommends that it needs replacement. But I feel that there's so many older bridges, especially 1928 bridges, that were all rebuilt after the 27 flood. If VTrans deemed them all failing, we'd be in hot water. So the few things we have going for us on Bridge 7, it's kind of a short span. But however, Cricket is very concerned with it, and I consider her a very experienced structural engineer. She comes from a family of structural engineers. She was trained, and she does a lot of municipal work. Anyway, that being said, the report hasn't changed that much, but I think it's still in our best interest to get the bridge replaced as soon as possible. The next thing she has, her and Tyler Billingsley, he's the other engineer that's doing the civil aspect. Cricket does the structural. Tyler Billingsley does the civil end of things. And they work together to revise the construction and engineering costs. So we were looking at before, we were looking around $750,000. Now we're in the 877, 878 range. And the last time we had talked, I'm not sure if Bob was here, but when we were discussing the bond or bonding for this project, we thought we'd just go for the full amount, even though we are anticipating getting a implementation grant from VTrans for possibly $200,000. But I think the select board's thought was, let's bond for up to what the total cost is. If we get the grant, great. We don't have to bond for the entire amount of money. And then who knows what could happen. We're still a year out, so we would be seeking bond approval this March, while simultaneously applying for the VTrans grant. And if we are awarded the grant and the bond, and the voters agree to bond for the bridge, we'll consider construction in 2026. So it won't be this coming summer, but it'll be the next summer.
Likely fiscal year 27.
27, that's right, fiscal year 27. And
which is part of why we need to start this process now.
Right. Well, we need to approve the bond. So I guess then, so that's the upgraded or the updated cost estimate. And then I have some of the bond documents that Bob Fletcher helped put together, or actually he wrote them all. And the first is a resolution of necessity. And a lot of whereases in here and so forth, but it basically gives the rationale or the reasoning why there's a need to replace this bridge. And some of the wording in this is, comes directly from Cricket McClusker, our structural engineer, in the second paragraph. And I'll just read this. I think it's kind of important for the public record. The town engineer has advised the town of Underhill that Bridge 7 exhibits extensive and pervasive concrete spalling, map cracking, crushing of abutment seams, deformation, and delamination of the concrete deck beams, and VTrans has reported that major rehabilitation or full replacement of Bridge 7 is warranted. So that's kind of the first, one of the first steps in this, and we'll, most likely we'll have final documents. This is kind of a draft for your review. We'll have final documents for the next meeting to sign. But the first is a resolution of necessity. The second is the second is a sample question that would be on the official ballot. And it'd be Article 1, because I don't think we're going to have any other articles. Well, no, that's not true, but we may have other articles, but we will have after I go through the food hub request. Oops, I'm sorry. Okay, Donna's switching to Jericho. So this is basically the question that the voters will be asked. Shall general obligation bonds or notes of the town of Underhill in an aggregate principal not to exceed $878,000, subject to reduction from state or construction grants in aid and other financial resources, be issued to finance the removal and replacement of Bridge 7 on Pleasant Valley Road? So it would be in favor or in opposition. You vote one or the other. So I just want to explain the bond process because I was a little bit confused what it's all about. We just want to borrow some money to fix the bridge, right? But when we talk about extending loans past the 5-year mark, we talk about bonding. So bonding is set in statute, and the legislature has given the town the power to issue bonds. So we issue our own bonds. Basically, it's a guarantee. This has happened here in Underhill before. We bonded for the town hall and the town garage. So basically, we issue a guarantee of bonds, and then we sell our bonds to. We can either go through the bond bank, or we could go through a private bank, like such as the Union, who buys bonds. They buy our bonds. We negotiate on the rate. They're typically $1 amount. And again, historically, this happened when the Burlington-Lamoille Railroad came through here in 1876. The town actually was very in favor of getting the railroad up here. So we use that power a little bit different. We use the power in a different way to actually support the construction of a private railroad. So we did that. Subsequently, the railroad went belly up in the 30s, and the townspeople actually voted to have the town pay them back because they felt like they didn't get their money's worth. So we had to reimburse the bonds, as far as I knew the story goes. Anyhow, so that's how bonding works. Bonding's always 20 years. It can never outlast. So the thing you're repairing or the money you're expending, that item, or that repair, or that thing needs to outlive the life of the bond. So bonds by statute are 20 years. They can go up to 30 years, but typically they're always 20 years. And I would think we would want to be on a 20-year schedule. Is what we did for the town hall and the garage. There's also another thing to think about, but I had spoken with Cricket and I had spoken with Sherry and Jennifer. I don't anticipate us using any money ahead of time to purchase anything for the project. So Bob Fletcher asked me that. He said, would you anticipate buying anything like steel or whatever before issuing the bonds? Like, would we use any money? And if we did that, we'd have to go through a special process so the voters knew that, hey, we're going to be using some of the money out of the general fund to purchase some of these things, but we'll be paying ourselves back with a bond. But we're not going to, I don't anticipate us doing that. We're simply going to put this project out to bid. Someone's going to bid on it. They're going to purchase all the materials. Well, obviously they have to, pay for inspection and so forth, but those are just typical costs and that's in the cost estimate, the updated cost estimate that Cricket provided. So that's the bond question. And Bob's been great in this whole thing, explaining this is what he specializes in. He's one of the principals at our law firm, but he's the bond expert. He writes all this paperwork for many municipalities, so this is not his first time around. And I was really happy when he even went as far as drafting the warning, which we have in the packet. So typical warnings. We're going to have Article 1 to elect a moderator. Article 2, we're going to hear the reports of the town officers. Article 3, we're going to approve the general fund budget. Article 4, the highway budget. And then transaction. We're going to probably have an Article 5. So this is where I get to the petition that came in today. So if you remember back a few weeks ago, Sandy came in, Sandy Wilmot, and talked to us about the Underhill Jericho Food Hub. And they're an organization that educates local people on local food. And they put on meals. They do special food events at the school. They donate food to the food shelf. It's about local food education and trying to keep our food local and our commerce local.
While building community.
While building community,
Yeah.
So she'd asked us to get on the ballot for an appropriation of for $2,000 a year for the town of Underhill. Unfortunately, she was, according to our appropriations policy, she was too late for the cutoff. So she hit the ground and got the petition, and Sherry has received and certified the petition. She has the correct amount of signatures. So this question, as it reads right here, shall the town appropriate $2,000 to the Underhill or the Jericho Underhill Food Hub for education and services in support of local foods in accordance with 24 VSA 2691. So that will most likely be Article 5.
You want to try to change the name to Underhill Jericho?
I know. I was thinking that too.
On our article, we should have it the Underhill Jericho. Jericho.
I know.
So have a subcommittee figure it out at the end, type of thing. Maybe we can have a certain percentage, split,
We'll give them 2,100.
So basically, that's the only other thing I see that I anticipate that we would see adding to the warning. And then, of course, this would be the article regarding the bond. So next time, assuming that no one wants to add a warning or any kind of article here to the warning.
We may have a question about use of surplus funds that may.
Well, right.
So we'll hopefully know that once we figure out the budget, and if there's any questions about what we're doing with the surplus, if there's any proposals that it's going to go that it goes into any of the reserves, then that would have to be an item.
Right, but we have to get through the budget first, right? So once we finalize the budget, then we'll know what money we have left over, and then.
When is the warning finalized?
We have to sign this next Thursday.
Got it.
So,
You got time. Don't get
Right,
nervous.
right.
What
Well, I
about the
always get
solar
nervous
project?
when it comes to the,
What about the solar project?
that's off the table. They've pulled their request.
They, the energy
Yeah,
committee's pulled the
exactly.
request.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
it's over.
It's good to
For
have
now.
that on the record that they've pulled the
Yes.
request.
I think I said that last
You did.
time, didn't
Oh,
I?
you did?
Thought I did. Maybe I didn't.
You were immersing chocolate chip cookies or something, I don't know.
No, but thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Thinking about my
No,
interpretation.
because I missed that too, Patty, so.
Oh, good.
Thanks.
We were both thinking about it.
Good reminder.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
you,
good
though.
reminder. So
Okay, just so that we have that on the record.
that's
that we'll
off the table for the moment. And yes, short of having any typical questions that we would have, I don't think there's anything special
I
that,
have two questions for you, Brad, on the Bridge 7 verbiage for the ballot.
Mhm.
Will the resolution of necessity be somehow attached or provided to voters? Because if I just read this as a normal person voting, I wouldn't have a clue why the town
so
needs to spend $878,000 to replace Bridge 7.
Yeah.
It needs something else to get me to vote, to put my X next to it.
no, I understand. So as per any Australian ballot, we have to hold an informational hearing. And the informational hearing, I took the liberty of assuming that we could do it on February 27th. And if you see at the end of the legal voters are further notified of
Right.
February 27th. But that being said, I'm certainly going to talk about it in my town administrator report, in the town report. I think we could have a section, I think just talking about that, we're also going to have a meeting. If anybody has been following the select board at all, they know we've talked a lot about Bridge 7. And I think people realize,
Absolutely agree with that,
Mm-hmm.
but the vast majority of people don't check
right,
in on the select board. They come to vote. I know. I've said this before. They come to vote and they look at the wording and they're like, I don't know anything about this. Do we really need to replace the bridge? And the resolution of necessity says it all. Is there
No,
any
I
way?
understand.
And we can probably put something on Front Porch Forum as we're starting to communicate.
Yes,
I think,
yes.
I think I could do that, yes. I would
Somehow
prefer
to
to,
really get that message out.
I would prefer to do that
Okay.
myself. So the message is consistent.
Mhm.
I'll also talk about it in my town report. I don't know if I could ask, I could ask Bob, I don't think it'd be out of the
Put two
question.
sentences
I
in
don't
there.
think it'd be out of the question to include this in the town report. So why not? Right?
Yeah,
You're gonna
just
sign
have
it,
two
you're gonna
pages.
sign it,
Exactly.
why not include it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm,
And that says it all. It sums
Yeah.
it up nicely.
Mhm.
And then you can we make reference to, reference to it on your Front Porch Forum post.
we have to be a little bit careful when it comes to, so this can't be like in the voting booth, but it can be certainly in the town
In the
report.
packet.
Mhm.
In the town
People-
report.
That's a good idea. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's
Why
an
not?
education process.
Yeah, why not put this right in the town report?
Check with bond council to make sure
Yeah.
we're not stepping on any bombs here, but
Yeah, you want,
education
Mhm.
is a really key thing to get people to say yes.
The
Right,
actual
right.
wording on the article needs to be vetted by the attorney.
He wrote it.
It's gotta be stated a certain way.
Bob wrote all these documents, so, yeah.
Well, Brad, I just want to say that was a really great explanation of and history of the bond and bond process and what it means. So I don't know about you guys, but I think that's really great to
Yes.
understand that.
Yeah,
I know.
it's very helpful.
So
Everybody said-
thank you.
Like I said to Bob, I said, we just want to borrow some money.
Right.
And he's like, well, it's not.
I think
gonna
it's
go like
really
that.
important.
It's hard to wrap your head
It's
around.
really
that.
important for us to understand the difference between it and how it works.
Yeah, but we can actually produce currency in a way.
Very good. So the next item on the agenda is the permits and easement status.
Oh,
I have one more question.
Oh,
sorry.
okay,
I also
that's-
had a question on the.
Okay, well,
on the
let's go
phone.
back and ask
Sorry.
more questions.
Sorry.
All right, run mine really quickly. The $878,000 is in 2025 dollars. We're not gonna do this project until 2026.
That's my
There
question.
will be inflation. There will be inflation.
I think she's figuring that into the equation, and also,
Okay, as long as
don't
that's being
forget, and
considered.
don't forget, we're gonna have, we've been assured that we're gonna get we
The-
gave up $200,000.
Yeah, right.
We've been assured that we're at the top of the list for a
Okay.
structures grant. So,
The structures grant is gonna be key to shore up the finances, to make
No, I
sure we have
understand.
enough.
Yeah.
And we really don't know until we put it out to bid.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And-
there was some concern thinking about there's a lot of unknowns in terms of the incoming administration of material costs and potential changes to what things might cost with tariffs and changes in that.
Right.
But the structure, like if the bond is for the full amount, I think that makes sense and that's the way we're gonna structure it. And then have the grant, hopefully.
If
Yeah,
it
I
goes
think it-
over, we can have
I
a
think
bake
so.
sale.
You're gonna be making a lot of
Okay.
cookies.
It's gonna turn into a toll bridge. Are you good with your
Okay.
question?
Yes.
And yeah,
Maureen?
that covered the same thing,
Oh,
yes.
Perfect,
Thank
see,
you.
so
A
1-2
twofer,
punch.
a twofer.
Get the finance people thinking here.
Brad?
So, we've submitted the permits. We have 2 permits to get, one from the Army Corps of Engineers, another from Stream Alterations, Chris Brunel at A&R. We've applied for those. Mike Weisel and I have met with at least one landowner. I've spoken to the other 2, so there's 3 landowners where we'll need to acquire some easements. Mostly temporary. The road, when the engineers drew up the right of way of the road, they have it as a 3-rod road. It's actually a 4-rod right of way. It's a 66-foot right of way through there. And I have the original survey. It goes across there and then it goes up Westman Road, so to the town line. So that was the roadway that was laid out up Westman, back here to the center, all the way almost to Jackson Hill, New Road, almost to the New Road section. That's when it changes. So it comes back down to 3 rods again. But anyway, I'm gonna try to revise his drawings, which will help us. We won't need as much easement, but we are still gonna need some easement. So we're working on that. I'm hoping that VTrans isn't gonna hold that over our heads. It seems like there's always an excuse when, it comes time to award the grant. Well, you don't have the bond approval. Now is it gonna be, well, you don't have the easements? Well, we're gonna have the easements pretty much locked in. We'll have everything as locked in as we can. If they do deny us the grant this year, that's fine, because the money would sit there anyway. Right, because when the sad thing about, or not the sad thing, but the unfortunate thing about state grants is you apply for them in the spring, like March. We hear in May whether we're awarded or not, and then they give you the money in July. Well, we've already planned our fiscal year way before that. So, they may say, well, are you going to build it in 25? Well, we're going to say, no, we can't build it in 25. There's just not enough time.
Feasible, yeah.
So if worse comes to worse, we still have, another process. We can't get into the stream until July anyway, I think July 1. So we're still my intention would be, and if you guys are on board, apply for the grant. Hopefully we get the grant. The money will have to just sit there for 1 year. If not, we'll do it again, apply for it again, and we'll be ready to hit the ground in July. So
That sounds like a good plan.
that's all I have on the bridge.
Sounds good. Any
It's been
questions?
quite the process.
Yeah, great
Yeah,
work.
thank you very much
Fabulous
for running
work.
that all down. That is a lot.
Fabulous work.
Okay, so now we are still a little ahead of the schedule. Next item is the zoning administrator position with the Chittenden Regional Planning Commission, otherwise known as the CCRPC. Review the revised job description.
So I rewrote the job description. And I had Penny Miller look at it. It was on the DRB. Made a few tweaks, and then I sent it to Regional Planning, Taylor Newton and Charlie Baker, where they marked it up a little bit more. So the idea is this person, you know, is a CCRPC employee, and they're just going to be providing services to them. So some of these changes are relative to that. I did make some, you know, where Taylor Newton here, that's TN1, made a comment. I'm in blue, he's in red, and I'm in blue, where I made, or just addressed his comments. Unfortunately, you know, I'm just gonna get on my box a little bit about COVID and what happened to the workforce during COVID. You know, everybody got really used to working remotely. And I think a lot of younger people are still used to working remotely. And CCRPC has kind of fallen into that trap a little bit. But this is a public service job, you know. I think our taxpayers have an expectation to walk in the door and see somebody, talk to somebody. I don't think in any way, shape, or form this should be a remote job.
I agree.
I think it's actually unhealthy for people to hole up in their houses and work. They need to get out and interact face to face with people. I think that's important. So I was pretty adamant with regional about that this really isn't. Now that being said, you know, if it's a huge snowstorm day and it's dumping 3-4 feet out there and they live in the Burlington area, well, maybe you work from home that day, but it should be expected. Is that your expectation as well?
And the job necessitates interacting with
Yes.
the townsfolk, coming in, applying for permits and answering questions.
Right.
It is a
really
face-to-face
public facing job.
It is.
I think that's right, that it really does have to be. I think there can be circumstances where there can be flexibility, but I think the expectation is that this is a physical in-place job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Different from what Larry's doing. Larry's
Yeah.
kind of working behind the scenes with the planning commission. I think that's very different. He doesn't have to interact with the public.
So-
Anyway.
So I guess just to play devil's advocate just for a bit, is it the expectation that anyone comes in the door and is going to expect that level of service when the job force is not reflecting that? Or is it more reasonable for people to email and request to have an appointment, and then they can be available, you know, on a virtual environment or a platform, and, you know, email documents and, you know, discuss things over, you know, a Zoom or a Skype or whatever the platform is that, you know, we decide to go with. You know, if I understand the need to want to have someone here, but if the workforce is not, that's not what the workforce is anymore. You know, are we beating our head up against a wall for no good reason when we just need to get with the times, so to speak, and say, do we want to try to, you know, embrace or lean into the thorn?
That's the question, I guess. But,
I mean, can't we see once they start looking and they put it out there, what they.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody says, well, it's a deer biker, I'm not going to come into work, I think that's really unfortunate. I think people's level of appetite is going to wane for this, to be honest with you. I know it seems to be the norm, but in public service, you know, there's a lot of people that can't interact on a computer either. You know, the benefit of having someone walk in the door, a contractor per se or whatever, someone's here and you've got a minute, you say, sure, let's pull the file out, let's take a look, let's have a conversation. I'll go to the computer, let me check this out. But I hear what you're saying.
I don't think that we're set up to manage someone that works remotely. So it'd be very difficult for this body to see, like, what is someone doing at home? Right. Are they actually working? Are they, you know, making a souffle? You know, what are they doing? You know, type of thing. And we're paying, a considerable amount of money. Are they working just for us, or are they working for several towns?
Right.
Doing the same thing. Like, I have no way of really monitoring and checking that, and we aren't really educating and trained to have someone, filling that responsibility to bird dog that.
There's also an accessibility issue, I think. If someone is only available remotely, I think that does not allow, not everybody is going to be able to do it virtually to get the information or be able to access the, the advice and information from somebody only virtually. And if we are not able to get any applicants with this as written, then maybe we have to revisit it. But I think
We gotta go.
starting with this.
We can try this, but we have tried this for how long?
I know.
This is a little different. This is a different approach.
Mm-hmm.
This person wouldn't be working for the town of Underhill. They're working for CCRPC.
Yeah.
So, their ability, and the whole reason that we felt like this could be a really great match is they are hiring people, and they are the go-to for all the municipalities in the area. So our thought process was this would be kind of like a feeder job. They're going to get people in here for that job. They're going to work for the town of Underhill for X number of hours. They may be in their office doing some projects for some hours. And then, if they grow and they learn, then they might move to help a different city or town, and then they'll bring someone else in to help us. So.
Or grow within CCRPC.
Yeah, or grow within their organization and do something else within their organization.
But it's not the plateau that only Underhill as a town.
And I think part of why we've been having a really hard time attracting anyone is, no offense to people who've done a great job in it, but it's a pretty dead-end job. It's not like you do a great job, you can move up and stay with the town. You move on, like Andrew, who did a fantastic job, went to Rutland, and now he's working in Massachusetts, I think. I mean,
Right.
we're a small town, so hopefully this will work.
So we had our board of directors meeting at Chittenden County Regional Planning last night, which I sit on. And this was discussed. It's in the budget. They have a $10 million budget. They have like 50 employees. They're staffed up. They're ready to advertise this position. It's in the budget. The budget passed last night. They also talked about that this seems to be catching on with other regional planning. I spoke with Gina Little. She's at a funeral in Jeffersonville this weekend. She's works for Lamoille County Planning. They would love to be able to offer something like this to municipalities. And there's also talk in the legislature this year about regional planning supporting municipalities. So we're not just alone here. There's many towns struggling.
Yeah.
You've got very few people just trying to do all the work. So there's plenty of other towns in the same boat we are. So the legislature recognizes this. We're constantly bombarded by state officials. My email's like ringing off the hook. And they see that, well, we can't be as attentive, you just can't answer everything. And so I think it's evident to them that something needs to happen. The last thing in here is they kind of threw out some numbers. And I think we're looking in the $70,000 range to pay them. And then Jennifer, you can speak to how that compares to.
It was exactly the same as what if we had someone in-house. It was an exact same 96 range benefits, depending on how many hours we end up using this person. But the number was exactly the same when I broke it down, so.
And the way this would work is that we would pay that amount to the regional planning.
Correct.
For okay.
No benefits, no,
Right.
just a
flat amount.
Flat amount. Okay, got it.
and again, we can see how it goes.
Right.
It's not like we're
Yeah.
If it doesn't go well for us,
The
then.
contract is for a year.
But what we're doing, what we've
Well,
been
so
trying
the
to.
contract.
Expectation is for a year.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'm in full support of this.
Yep, I'm good.
I think the
Yeah.
job description looks great, everything looks good.
Okay, so I'd like to move forward with trying to get a formal contract going. They did send a contract that Franklin County Regional Planning used. Wasn't too impressed with that. I don't know if you read that.
I did, of course I did. But
I wasn't, I didn't like the format, I guess.
But we can send it to our attorney and have him do it. We just didn't want to.
We'll get the copy of the contract and then get it back to us.
Yeah, I will. We'll try and get it as fine tuned as we can, get it back to you. And then, but in the meantime, if you're happy with the job description, do you think it's safe for them to start advertising the position and we can work through the contract? Or should we iron the contract out first?
I'm comfortable with the job description. We can then catch up with the other part of it.
Yeah.
And they're, based on the few meetings that I've been in on, they very much want to work with us. I don't anticipate any trouble with the contract. I think that's going to be a straightforward process.
Yeah.
You're a world-class arm wrestler, so we're good.
We're all set.
That's
Just
right.
dragging behind the slow of the dogs. Here we go.
That's the way we're working it.
So I will touch base with Taylor
Send
tomorrow.
Patty in.
Okay.
She's the closer.
Excellent.
That's right.
I got my, I don't know what color that is. With my
Turquoise.
Yeti.
That's right. It's very stylish, by the way. I don't normally
Is it
see a
teal or
turquoise color.
turquoise?
I would call it
Yeah.
teal.
Kitty like
Yeah, I
that.
think it's more teal.
So
Yeah.
the watch, the
Let me tell
phone,
you.
everything is
Oh my
like, I'm
gosh.
color coordinated now,
Look at you.
Very
Oh
nice.
my gosh.
sort of. color coordinated.
So we did the zoning administrative position and all that, right? So we're
Yes.
good with that.
Mhm.
And then we're on to the CCRPC. Don't say that very fast. Transportation Advisory Committee vacancy.
Yeah, so Kurt Johnson was a past select board member, and I think he was on the TAC. I can't remember what year Kurt was on the select board, maybe 2016, 17 era, maybe
Up to 19.
19. So he was a member of the Transportation Advisory Committee. So regional planning has a few committees where each municipality has a member. So there's a board of directors. I sit on or a commission. So I sit on that commission. Kurt was the alternate. So we have no alternate to the commissioner. It would be nice, I sat through like a 2.5 hour meeting last night. They're kind of lengthy at times. But then they have a transportation advisory committee that is vacant now. Underhill has no representative or an alternate. We also have, there's a planning action committee who deals with like planning issues. And I thought that, I spoke with Larry briefly. I think Larry might be, it's a one day a month meeting, a couple hours. I think he would be great. He's worked with CCRPC before, so I could put him on the next meeting for an appointment. But I threw out, this is a typical packet of what you would see on the Transportation Advisory Committee, and I included it in your packet. Underhill's a really small fry in the big Chittenden County machine. They're talking about, but they're talking
A
about,
delicious but small fry.
yeah. They're talking about $10-20 million bridge replacements in Winooski, big, what do they call that cloverleaf thing they're building down by exit 16,
Yeah.
all these are,
Crazy.
all these things have to be run, per statute, VTrans has to run all these big projects through regional planning. So the Transportation Advisory Committee kind of vets these projects, and then they give recommendations to the commission, and then we kind of approve these projects to move forward. So I was wondering if any of you were interested in the Transportation Advisory Committee appointment. I'm not interested, I can't handle another committee, but, or should I put out something on Front Porch Forum?
Why don't we put something out for a vacancy, announce the vacancy, and send an email out to this select board, the planning commission, the DRB, and see if there is any, if there's any interest before we go external.
Okay.
And then if we have any internal candidates, then we can vet that. If it's not, then I would say, let's see what happens if we throw the net a little bit farther and see if there's anybody in the community of Underhill that would like to perhaps, take care of that. But I would open it up to internal people, including the road crew, if they would be interested in doing something like that.
Okay, sounds good. It's basically, it's one, actually they meet in the AM, this one. But it's pretty interesting. And I just want to thank Kurt again for, he was on it for many years as the primary. I was the alternate. And then I mostly did with the board of directors of the commission, and he was the alternate there. But I just really can't thank Kurt enough for
Absolutely.
representing the
Did a really
town.
nice job in that.
I think we should do the same, follow the same idea that if we have a vacancy as the alternate to the commissioner for the Chittenden County, that, put that out internally and see if there's anyone internally that would like to be considered. And then, if not, then we can go from there.
Okay,
Throw it farther net.
That's a
that
great
sounds
idea.
like a plan.
I like
Yeah, that sounds good.
Great.
That's why you sit right there, not farther down.
You can tell
They
you.
keep you closer,
So then I
Alright.
put together a
That's your
little,
brilliance rub off.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
so,
The room is tipped, so that's why all this stuff goes down, type of thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brad, you were gonna say something about the computer technical expenditures?
yes. So Jennifer's having a lot of trouble with her laptop, older laptop, and crashing, running multiple applications. Nemrick now
Every
is
day.
on the cloud, having trouble. Larry.
It's not like you need your computer for work.
Yeah, right.
You
It's all
can
that
do your
day trading.
job by
It's all that day
paper.
trading.
So Larry has joined us now, and it's I think it's only fair for him to have a town computer.
Yeah.
So our thought was, in my little memo here that I wrote, is to get Jennifer a full replacement, and then we could have Jennifer's computer stripped down, since he won't be using like all the applications she's using. Basically just gonna be using Word and Adobe. That computer is
Chrome.
perfectly
Right.
capable of doing that after it gets stripped down. I did get a little bit of a fine-tuned price. We had $2,750 in here, but I've been told now it's more in the $1,700 range. So that's for the laptop itself. And then they did have an estimated labor time of 4 hours here, and that would be probably
Stripping this and setting up.
stripping it and getting Jennifer's set up. So I think it would be safe to say that if you were so inclined to approve up to $2,500, that would cover it.
Where does it come from?
Well, it'll come out of our technology budget.
How much money is in there now?
Hold on.
2,400.
No, I mean, we
have to
maybe,
do a big sale.
I don't know where we're at on it right now.
You don't know?
Hold on, I can tell you, because I have up through December.
Well, I know your computer's down, so that's why I was.
And my eyes. We're at,
Use the force.
27,800 out of basically 50,000.
So we have some money.
That's
So
great.
I would say it's a no-brainer, then I move that we authorize up to, you think 2,500 is enough?
I think so.
Yeah.
Why don't we say,
Three,
why don't we
please.
just up to 3?
Yeah. just in case.
I don't think it's gonna be anywhere
In
close to
case
that.
she wants a
but
mouse pad or something.
Yeah,
I like that.
we do have some,
The cat for.
we'd have some licenses we have to renew. That's in
Oh,
the
sure.
$875 range. It doesn't meet the threshold, but that's just standard licensing.
Upgrades.
Sure, we have to get done, but I don't.
So I'm gonna move that we allocate up to $3,000 out of the technical budget to replace the computer for Jennifer. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? You can pick the color.
Thank you.
Green to match the photo left.
Yeah.
Dark green.
No, go aqua.
Oh, it's teal.
All
Teal?
those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. Motion carries.
Thank you. That will
You
definitely
need
make
it.
life
Mhm.
easier.
You need a laptop.
And a lot less swearing coming from upstairs.
We have to.
No, still swearing.
Okay, so we've done that. Now we're on to
Report.
discuss the 25 town report theme dedication deadline to the printer.
Dun, 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 dun.
So, as I said, we're gonna meet next Thursday as a regular scheduled meeting. And our hopes are to have a final budget and a final warning. The town report, the deadline for the first copy deadline is Friday, the Friday after, so that's the 24th. Get it all to the printer, they basically put it together, they send us a proof, we go through it, and then it goes to final print. So this year I don't know, a person came in, I believe that somebody from the Barrett family on Pleasant Valley Road, and they had a book of old reports, the old town reports. And I was like, oh wow, look at some of these pictures, really kind of cool.
Yeah.
What was been on the town report before. So I could make these really small.
Grade
And-
school building, 65,000.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God.
I like the, there's one for the train track,
Mhm. Yeah, these are really neat to look
train
through.
track.
The drawings are great.
Yeah.
So the thought was I could make these small and make kind of a collage of them on the front and the back. And some of these ones in the 40s were really neat too.
Mhm.
Especially, and then of course there's some Lloyd Kennedy. He did the town report for many years. There's some classics.
So the town report's dedicated to the town report.
Well, this is just like the cover, right? So,
I think that's a great idea though,
Would
Brett.
they
I
be
think
big enough
that'll
to
look
look
great.
at and see, or?
yeah, I think I can get them enough, yeah.
You're only talking this big. And hey, you got quite a few pictures there.
No, I know, but we can shrink
You don't want
that.
them too small where people are like,
We don't have to do all of them. You're just
No.
gonna pick a handful.
Kind of a collage.
how do you pick the ones? Do you pick the ones you want?
I don't know.
You
We're
just
gonna
pick.
try. So, but if you just make a collage of like things and make sure you highlight, like this one out of 43, I thought was really neat. It was Underhill having accomplished an outstanding job in collection of salvage for the contest period July 1 to November 31st, 1943, by exceeding 110 pounds per capita required. Is hereby awarded the right to inscribe M for merit on the annual report in 2020 or 1942. Signed by William Wills, Governor. So
A real
obviously,
badge of honor.
obviously for the war effort, right?
Need that big one. There you go.
Yeah, I know, I
There you go.
know.
Put it on the whole-
I had to
I
keep
can't
zooming.
read that.
Yeah,
Like,
that would be hard.
So anyway, we'll see what we can do. But if you guys think that's good for the cover, we can put a few around and see what we can do.
I think that's a great idea and would look great.
Your nails, buddy.
I can maybe take that, like the one that has the writing there and keep that full size, but then cover the rest of it with something else. You can kind of move things around.
Or pick the coolest one and just revamp the cover as the one that you really liked.
Maybe, we'll see. We'll play around with it.
I trust your artistic vision.
Yeah, come up
Oh,
with
boy.
So then we also have a dedication. So I put together a list. Well, somebody started this list and I've added to it. But since 2024, these were our covers and these were our dedications. So I don't know if there's any thought about.
Yep. I'd like to dedicate the cover to Cedric Wells, Mike Jacobs, and Phil Jacobs.
Sounds good.
All mercantile.
What is just
Underhill's only commercial.
Stores,
oh,
stores of long-term,
Of long, yeah.
Our country
serving,
stores.
serving of our community.
Exactly.
Country stores, yeah, they're it. That's all that's left.
I think that's a great idea.
I like it.
Now, we usually get into trouble when we do stuff like this, so because we have a tendency to forget people sometimes, but I don't think we're forgetting anyone.
Nope, Big John's not here, so.
Big John's not here. And he was never an Underhill anyway.
No, right.
so you're including Mike Jacobs because of the store that they had in town?
Right.
Center.
But other people have taken care of that store after Mike Jacobs. I'm wondering if that.
Not long-term though. There was two owners before it went under, but, I mean, Mike Jacobs really was the heart of that store.
Mike and Patty.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say it's nice to honor somebody while they're still alive as well, versus, dedicating something to somebody that has passed, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's nice to dedicate something when people are still alive to
Appreciate it.
appreciate it. and
Yeah,
see it.
Exactly.
So if we could agree upon that, I know it would be difficult for Phil to travel right now, but if we could try to coordinate a photo opportunity to get the three of them together, that'd be good.
Oh, cool. And maybe some pictures of the store when they were in their
Yeah.
prime, or not that they're in their prime, not right now,
In
but
their various
Yeah,
phases.
various phases.
One isn't. in
I
its
know,
prime.
no, well, one's
Store.
non-existent, so we can probably find some old pictures.
Mhm.
And it'd be a good excuse to talk to Mike. He came in the other day and said hello, brought us some boxes, so.
Cool.
All right,
Great idea.
I like it.
I like it.
All right. On that same note, we're going off agenda now. We're gonna go back to the review and sign loan documents of the 25 dump truck. So I'm gonna say this is part of the review. We had talked, I'm looking at Russ, we had talked about dedicating that truck. And I would like to continue to have that conversation, but I don't know if we're ready to have that conversation or not.
I think it'd be a good discussion to start that. I know you and I have had that conversation, but the rest of the board, or
Want to put it on next time's agenda, or, okay?
No, I want to do it right now. So we had talked about, Russ and I had talked about this privately, that with the new truck that's coming in, that we would like to dedicate that truck possibly to Crick Fuller.
so I'd just like to add, I'll try to say this. My family's been in the fire service for many, many, many years. And my dad, who's the longest living member of the fire department, has been over 60 years now. And back a few years ago, they dedicated a new truck to my dad. And I don't remember the year, but it was about 50 years, I believe. And they had the door one of the doors on the truck is lettered on the bottom and dedicated to my dad for his years of service. And then they did the same for Lee Dumas on another truck that came in. So I can tell you right now, my dad could not tell that story today without getting emotional.
Wow.
That's how much it meant to him. I know Crick is no longer with us. That's kind of why it's nice to honor somebody while they're here, but I think his family would appreciate it. Crick was a good friend of mine, which I know it would be kind of neat to have. So I think it's nice to honor people that put a lot into this town and made it what it is today. And I know Crick, as well as others in town, have, put a lot into the town. So I love the idea. I think it's great. But I think it's nice to honor people.
I think that's a good idea. Just scrolling through these pictures from the town reports and seeing some names, like this one that I'm looking at in the post office, and it honors and remembers people. And that's a very good thing to do.
And if they're not here to realize it, hopefully there's family members in town that'll mean something to.
So I will move that we dedicate the new 2025 dump truck to Christian Fuller. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor of dedicating the 2025 dump truck to Christian Fuller, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. We are now going to talk about the 2026 budget.
Oh, are we? Just kidding. And okay, you gotta get off my lap.
Can you see it?
She's so cuddly today.
I know. He's been getting
Scary.
weirdly more,
Scary.
he's been getting weirdly more cuddly.
You gotta tune on?
Do I have to plug it in?
No, you just need to connect to the meeting.
Oh.
But make sure you mute yourself
Okay.
first. Mute your speaker in the bottom.
Wait, I first have to connect to the meeting.
Painting's coming along in here.
Yeah, it is.
Really?
Ceiling's all done.
The 25 dump truck,
Jeez.
what,
You got you?
You did.
Oh,
So much for
no.
being loving.
what
You
route
wanna-
would that go on?
What's that again?
What
There's
route
a
would that go?
scratch or
Yeah, he does that. He just
That
goes
does,
around and go.
Lower English, or,
You went wrong.
yes, lower English, your road, upper English, the side goes up 15.
They still have that feral listed them.
Hey, you just wait for one of these here.
Protect me from cat illness.
Cat scratch fever.
Exactly. Thank you.
Oh.
No, you've done bad over there.
It says it's
And
starting, but
Pinocchio will listen right up.
Oh, yeah.
He's over here going through my legs.
I know.
Just waiting for you to put
Oh
your
my
hand out,
God.
crack it.
it's showing errors.
No, we said it before.
Says something went wrong.
Did
You want my
see the
laptop?
agenda?
Mm-hmm.
You want my laptop?
No, because I need my Google Doc.
Here, let me,
Can I?
can I just pop in and try to get you on?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go onto the agenda there, it's there,
Where is it?
right there,
Right there.
all the way to the right.
While you're doing that, I don't see why we can't approve some of these warrants and minutes. Do you? Just keep flowing.
I think that's a good idea.
So I'm gonna move, we're gonna skip ahead while they're working out the technical difficulties.
Sounds good.
I have a warrant for payroll dated the 30th of December. All those in favor, I move that we accept the warrant as presented for payroll. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the payroll warrant dated 12/30/2024 for the paid period on 1/2/25, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Busy tonight.
Motion carries 4-0. Next one is for the auto pay account payable warrant dated on the 2nd of January that was in the packet. I'm gonna move that we accept that warrant as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
This is for the December 2024 auto pay. So it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, ready for the question. All those in favor of authorizing the December 2024 auto pay, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next one is the check warrant dated 1/7/2025. I move that we accept that. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Maureen seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next one is the payroll warrant dated 1/14/2025. I move that we accept that. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor of the warrant dated 1/14/2025, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next is the check warrant
He's gotta have some tabs.
for
closed. You can't, I think,
1/14/2025.
just Having all these multiple
I move that we accept that. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Patty. Any
tabs.
discussion?
Shouldn't be open here.
Hearing none, ready for the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next. Now we're gonna get into the minutes. I move that we accept the minutes for the December 12th, 2024 select board meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Hold on, there's one that needed to be revised.
Where should it go to?
Slate.
Let's see.
I just do it in the
That one's fine.
Chrome.
Okay.
You don't have the app.
Well, you're
I'm not gonna
It's there
sign
to
it,
be
but
able to-
I'll move it and then you can sign it.
Okay.
Right, just.
That's
Because I
okay.
don't use it.
So I move it,
might
you
take
seconded
out
it.
second cleaning with-
I'm not gonna sign the actual warrant, so I'm gonna ask Patty to do it as the vice chair.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Nope.
Nope. All right. All those in favor of the meeting minutes for December 12th, please signify by saying aye.
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 Dan Steinbauer, aye.
Maureen Collins Gold, aye.
Patty Richards, aye.
Bob Stone abstain. So motion carries 3-0 to 1.
You can close that.
Okay, so the next one is gonna be the joint Underhill Jericho Select Board meeting. Those minutes were on December 19th, 2024 in the town of Jericho. I move that we accept those minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Maureen seconds. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of the joint meeting with the Underhill and Jericho Select Board, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Today is the 16th.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Next one is the select board meeting minutes for December 19th at the town of Underhill. I move that we accept those meeting minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
I think I was there.
This one, I noted that your name was not in attendance. You were in attendance.
Yeah,
You weren't, I was.
yeah, that we
I
came
was
back.
home sick.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
there.
That's
I
right.
remember that night.
We came
You're there.
back here.
Yeah, so we just need to add, so I'm gonna move that we accept this with a revision that I was present.
If you could just make that note and then sign the last page, I'll replace it.
I'll sign it once it's corrected.
You don't trust me to just.
I trust you, I just said I was just gonna sign it once it's corrected.
Okay.
This is not a question of trust.
No, I know, but it's just the last page. I can insert I
I
can
can
fix the
stop by
first page.
too.
Okay. Sounds good.
Any other revisions to the document? Ready for the question?
Mhm.
All those in favor of the December 19th, 2024 meeting minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. I can sign the highway certificate. We voted on that tonight. And this is a dump truck loan thing that we talked about already. We all need to sign that. So we've already talked about that. So we got the
Okay.
meeting minutes down. We got the
656,
warrants down.
666,
Um,
21.
Looks like they're still working. So is there any member items, correspondence, announcements, and schedule that we want to talk about? You know, our next meeting is scheduled for the 23rd, which is next Thursday.
Mhm.
I don't know, I think Wednesday is,
The 22nd.
yeah, but I think I have
Perfect. Yeah, you're right.
I may not be here. David has his, music thing at the middle school, but I'm not sure if that's on a Wednesday or Thursday. So,
Mhm.
I'm hoping it's Wednesday, so I won't miss this, but
Thank you, Mark.
I'll send a text out to folks if I'm not gonna be here. And
I
I'm
won't
sure
be
you can,
here.
I'm sure you can handle it, or someone can handle it,
I'll
You have to allow me to
if I'm not here.
Okay.
But other than that, I think we're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other correspondence or announcements? No? Okay. Executive session, we can do that after maybe. We can do the closing comment period, but I'd like to do that after we do the budget, so we make sure we catch everybody that might have a question. How are we doing on our computer? Are we up? Good?
I'm just going to get
Give
to
her
the
a
share
second.
screen.
All right.
All right.
If you send the mileage report,
Yeah.
you're coming in tomorrow, so, okay. We can do it all tomorrow too. Those long documents, we'll have to pass those around too.
Okay.
Maybe we could do that while we're waiting for Jennifer if you got.
Yeah.
I think they're tabbed out where to sign.
Okay.
That's one account.
Oh, sure.
I have to finish mine at the top.
Thank you.
Those are from Larry.
Graduate.
Well, thanks, Larry. We depleted his stores.
Oh, no, there's more underneath.
The painters are eating them up too.
They are.
I can almost see all of this view. Make it a little smaller.
Let me see if I can. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
So, wait till you guys are done.
Is
Sorry,
everybody
Melissa.
who's on, they see that?
Yeah, everybody
We can't
who's there
see
can
them.
see it.
Can you see hey Bill, can you see the budget up on the screen? Bill, can you hear us at all?
Is that directed to me?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Bill. I was just asking if you could see the budget up on the screen.
Yes, I can, clearly. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
There's 3 on this one.
Yeah, let's see here.
I need to see this so I can see the colors when I scroll.
Colors are good.
What colors I'm
I'll just
looking
go
at.
right over here.
Purple and gray.
Still says selectmen and aldermen. They could update their forms.
Mistakes for a change.
Sure.
It's all embedded in law, unfortunately. Okay, there's that, and then the loan documents are coming around. there.
Mm-hmm.
Coming around the mountain.
How's the weekend looking for snow?
Good? Thoughts of it?
No, really?
I don't know, I don't even look anymore.
Was this one I done?
One day by day.
Yeah, I did those.
You missed one,
That looks good.
Yep.
Well, that's good.
Okay, good.
I think.
I'm always happy when I know I'm not gonna hear you going by at 5 in the morning, so that you get to sleep a little bit.
Thought you enjoyed hearing it.
Is it?
I don't mind it.
Dan Kelsey.
You just gotta get
Hopefully I
right
didn't sign in the wrong spot.
Yeah. pushed it.
Dan Kelsey.
Oh, no, I don't ever.
You just gotta get
I don't.
I'd rather have you check
I'm more of a get up and get out of bed.
So these are, what do we got here?
Well,
There's, I think
Try to-
that's all
So
done
I'm
except
just
I
gonna
don't
just,
ever sleep,
not that it,
even when I want to.
Well, I can't.
I just don't. It's just not my thing. My eyes still
they're really red.
And big.
still dilated.
As long as one isn't blown and the other one isn't.
They're,
It's a
How
sign
can
you're
you
having
even
a stroke.
see?
I can't. I mean, it hurts so bad just to keep my eyes open.
How are you gonna go home? You can't, you're gonna sleep here.
No, I drove here. I drove back to get here from Timber Lane.
Did you have sunglasses?
Yes, but it didn't really help. The glare, I was like,
Use the force.
do you want me to drive you home?
no, I'm fine.
Like
Go to the
coming at
back.
her.
I mean, I went to
It's
my
like
annual
driving
eye
the one
exam
in
and found
Belgium.
out that at 57 years old, I have cataracts in both eyes on top of my eye disease. I'm like, oh, great.
You're not that young or old.
I'll start calling you lucky.
Almost 58.
okay.
All right.
Just a number.
All right, are we ready?
Right.
So where we left off after our last meeting, we were at version number 5. So version 6 was the one that we were going to discuss last week. What I have in front of you on the screen is version 7 because once again, we can live update as
Mm-hmm.
we add or change things. And
Time keeps on ticking.
yeah, we're marching along here. So the two colors that changed from the last time we met are going to be the purple and the gray. The first line that I see that is purple is, I just want to make sure that this is
Look at that.
slid over.
Beautiful.
Line number 52, which is our use of surplus. So what we discussed when I came to you, my proposition, proposal was, we have about $450,000 in surplus,
Mm-hmm.
from fiscal year 24. And, I had come to you and said, I think we should give it back to the taxpayers. Since we had, the taxes were paid and now we've got the extra money, we should give it back. And I had also said that my recommendation would be that maybe we did 350 into the budget back to the taxpayers and then take 100 of that and put it into propose to put it on the ballot to put into one of our reserves,
Mm-hmm.
contingency reserve. My thought process of that is we have, we're working on rebuilding our reserves. While we have some significant expenses this coming year, big paving job, the repairs to the exterior of town hall, post office, and several other items, I feel like we also don't want to neglect continuing to build our reserves. We're currently putting $100,000 for the next 5 years into our highway contingency reserve. That was voted on at last year's town meeting. But this would be an opportunity for us to also, bank a little bit of money for for contingency. The thing to keep in mind, whether you guys decide to do that or not, is that we always build in 15% of our operating budget is built in as a slush fund. So that's already baked into this before you consider anything to do with taking that surplus and putting it into contingency. So it was originally 350 proposed in here. We upped it to 400,000 on version number 6. So we can continue down this, and you can tell me if you want to adjust that, or we can see where we end up at the end of the night, and you can use that one as something that you can dial back or whatever.
Okay.
And until we have all of the expenses on the budget, I don't know what that surplus number really is either, because our surplus number is based on our expenses. So the next item that was changed from the last version, there weren't very many, scrolling down to try and find, is the building maintenance line 112. The reason that changed is because that's because the exterior painting of the building was in there, and I pulled it out because the exterior painting of this building and the repairs to this building are considered capital. So I had it in this location, but it's really not a maintenance thing. It's really a capital improvement to the building.
So Jennifer, as a capital improvement, that does not affect the budget then?
Correct. Well, it does. I mean, it's an expense we have to pay, but it doesn't affect our surplus. You'll see it. It's down here under capital.
Okay.
It's surprising that meets the definition of capital.
I agree. For our purposes in the budget, as long as we have it in one place or the other, it doesn't matter. I will have to check with the auditors once we know. I mean, depending on whether, because it's not really repair, it's painting, but it's a large painting job. So I will have to check with them about that.
It's kind of like paving.
Paving.
Paving isn't considered capital either, because it wears out.
Right.
Right.
But painting the painting could last.
Could last.
So I will find out specifically about that, but regardless, it needed to be in one place, not both. It was in both places.
Okay.
So it's not here, it's in capital. Next line, that's purple or gray. Oops.
So we're gonna paint the outside the building this spring,
No, it would be after July 1 if this budget passes.
after July 1.
Yep.
Okay.
We've
already gotten
quite a few prices.
four quotes on
So
both buildings.
when we do that, this is kind of budget related. I don't like having the antenna in the front face of the building. That needs to be moved to the back of the building. So before we paint this building,
Move the antenna.
that antenna needs to be moved. It needs to be put in the back.
Well, before we paint the building too, we've got some,
Repairs.
siding repairs and so forth too, so that'd be a good
We'll
time
move
to
it at
do
that time.
But I don't know if we need to tweak any money or that can be part of that budget, but that was kind of a poor placement of the antenna. I'm sure there was a reason at the time they put it there, but I would rather have it in the back.
We always have, and we have,
Yeah.
we have a maintenance budget, so, I mean,
Yeah,
moving the
I
antenna
don't
is
think
not a big
that's
deal.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Do we have an estimate of the repairs before the painting?
We have that, that's in here under the capital line, is the painting and the repairs.
Okay.
We haven't gotten to that line.
Repair's gonna be difficult. It's gonna have to be kind of time, material type situation. Nobody's gonna come in and bid that.
It's just
Yeah.
a small,
Rip into it and
Because you
all kinds of
find new
rot.
stuff.
Right. What are we doing, Pilates upstairs, or what's going on?
I think they must be putting the chairs away.
Square dancing or something.
Remember that?
Okay,
Squirrels.
line 214, the solar array isn't in here anywhere because that's been, pulled out of here, so that's line
So you
214.
should take the comment away that solar array.
Yeah, well, none of the comments show up anywhere. The comments are just, our comments, they won't show up on the printed version.
No, I just didn't know. It's not even proposed for the ballot now.
Yeah, it's nowhere.
There we go.
I'll delete the whole thing. The next one, line 229, we added $20,000 to contractors and professional services for the highway department, and that was so that we can hire engineer architects to start to look at the building there.
Yep.
So that's that 20,000 change. And what else changed? The significant change here, if you look to the right, line 269 and 270, that's the payments, interest and principal for the new highway note. That was not on the last version, and that was my error, because if you look at this sheet right here, I didn't have that last line, which is the fiscal year, the new truck that we've been talking about, that we just signed the documents. That one wasn't on there. So that's what changed that number. And I think that's it. So those are the significant changes from one version to the next. And what this, without doing anything else, you can see that line at the bottom right. It's about a 2-cent increase to the municipal tax rate and a 4% increase. So that's where we're standing right now.
And this is before any salary adjustments.
Correct.
Other than the 2.5%.
And our surplus is 437 based on this current. You can see the line. Is that showing up? 437 is our surplus. So that's what we have to work with as far as using it or putting it towards into a reserve fund.
So you're proposing you'd only have 37 you'd only propose putting 37 into reserves?
That's
all that's left.
That would be all that's left from here. If you do the 400,000, yes.
Or if you just threw the whole thing at it.
Or you just don't just reduce the taxes and put all of it into it.
Because we are doing the 100,000 with the state aid.
But we don't know what the surplus is gonna be. If there's any adjustments after their executive session, that 437 would be reduced because our operating income
Right.
increase. So that's where things stand right now.
I'd just like to say a little something that, and I kind of talked to Bob about it, but I just think something to keep in mind, that we're using such a large amount of surplus to balance the budget that we can't count on that again next year, right?
Yeah.
So we need to be mindful of, it's great that we're doing a little bit extra for the Pleasant Valley because it needs it, it's so hammered. We got $340,000 in there, but just be mindful that next year comes around, we're not gonna throw 340,000 at paving again. We can't
We
do
don't
it.
have we won't have the income to do that.
But what did the Ira settlement come out to be?
Just under
total?
200.
So-
198.
So about $200,000, we did all of our settlements. So that would be a typical paving project.
Just about a mile, right?
Yeah,
Just a tad over a mile an hour, so.
and that's about, I know it's not great guns, but that's about all we can.
Well, that's always usually like
handle.
9/10 of a mile is usually like the average of what we usually pave,
Yeah.
I think. Depending on whether you do a shim or an overlay or
grind.
what you're doing or grind it all down, I think it all depends on what you really need to do.
And then, we're gonna be switching to the cloud with the server. That was kind of a pretty big expense.
Yeah.
Won't have that
Mhm.
the next year. We're throwing a lot of money at our buildings here, painting and stuff. So it should,
Yeah, next year should be sort of a planning and holding pattern year.
Yeah,
right.
no, it's gotta be.
And I think that, right, of thinking about planning for what we know is coming in terms of the garage and, whatever fiscal year 2027 holds for the bridge. I think that makes sense, right? That we just can't, no, yeah. we're not
And
gonna
it's
have-
probably wise to put the money into studying the garage. I think that's money well spent because that sets you up for thinking about.
How and planning for that future.
Yeah, Yeah.
If you don't start now, you're behind the.
And while Sherry doesn't like it when she always reminds me that we have nothing to do with the school budget. It has nothing to do with us. I do, last year, when we were working on our budget, we were, and I say this in my budget summary that's gonna be in the town report, we were facing at the same time 16%, was it 16? No.
Yeah.
16 or 16.5% school budget increase. So this year, it's 5-point-something%. And actually, if you look at because I did that this morning, it's really, they're at about a 2% increase in their expenditures in their budget for this year. But the per pupil increase is 5-point-something%. So I think, fortunately for us, we're gonna get a lot done. We have this extra money that we can give back to the taxpayers that's gonna help offset, but we're gonna get a lot of stuff done that needs to get done. And we're not also faced with a daunting school increase. So I feel like I think it will be palatable to people.
The other thing is, I think some of these big expenditures coming up, right, of like, it's stuff that is visible to the town to see, right, of like the town hall getting done, like Pleasant Valley getting done. These are things that are like, some town expenditures can be hard for people to like, where is all the money going? Right. But like, these big projects, I feel like are more visible.
Yeah. That's a good point. And
will make us look better, right?
Yeah,
like, there's like more pride of place.
And I include a budget guide that goes onto the website, and that I can mail to people if they want it. I can email to people, that goes line by line on our budget and explains, kind of like what Larry was saying with when you change the zoning, the thing that the guide that accompanies it. I do that, and I do get feedback. People read it and they're like, oh my God, thank you, I understand that now. So, and I already went over the items with Russ that are highway department. So, we're here to explain to our residents what projects we're doing, why we're doing them, why this cost went up, why this cost goes down. So I think that that's helpful as well.
It's very simple.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I don't want to speak out of line, but I did have
Thanks, Russ.
I did have the opportunity to speak to a friend of mine who was a select board member in another town close by. And just in conversation, he said that they had a $400,000 surplus. I said, that's interesting. What are you doing with it? And he said, well, we were originally going to give it back to the taxpayers. And then after talking with the league, they didn't recommend it because what happens next year. But maybe we're in a different situation, but I didn't know, have we asked the league? Have we talked to the league or gotten any of that? I don't know. Again, I don't want to speak out of turn.
I think I just explained how that's gonna work, right? We're doing, I talked about Pleasant Valley, we're gonna $140,000 more, you're kicking at it.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to take at least that out of reserves.
Yeah.
We're doing we could add up all these extras.
That aren't part of a normal course of business.
Exactly, and I think you're gonna get really close to that. 400.
Yeah.
But don't count on it for the next year.
Yeah.
There's always something, it would seem like.
Oh, it's
never ending.
Yeah.
But slow and steady wins the race, right? It's
Yeah.
like keeping on top of things, and unfortunately, we probably should have been a lot more attentive to some of our building concerns, but we'll get caught up.
Yeah.
And then maintenance is key too. Like I talked to some of the painters the other day, and they said, what goes a long way is like, people spend maybe $30,000, $40,000 on a paint job, but they had offered some maintenance packages that will come in every couple of years and just, one guy for a day or two doing touch up everywhere else, doing where it needs it.
Right, so it doesn't peel off and then the wood underneath rots.
And gets ahead of you, and then the whole thing deteriorates. And then they talked about doing like a soft wash every year or two, you know?
So they're, when they put in their bids, they're offering that?
They're offering that like an optional service, like an add-on service, which I thought was nice. But this particular company was quite a bit higher
Yeah.
than the other prices we
Yeah.
got.
But it's still the concept of,
Right, it
You
should be
know.
something in our plan, a thing that like, right,
Well-
if this year's painting, then we like mentally
years
should be
from now, we
planning
have to
for
have
like,
somebody
right,
come.
like the touch-ups and the wash, like, right, like
Mm.
thinking about in
you
our
can't wait
ongoing.
you can't
stuff,
wait
Yeah.
Till it all goes to
till it's
hell.
all like,
Yeah, that makes sense, because the next $30,000 job will probably be 60.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
And Russ,
if you
thank you for
put
bringing
it
it up.
off-
It's not speaking out of turn. I appreciate like,
Yeah.
you know, if you hear stuff that's like relevant to bring it up. So
Well, thank you.
thank you.
And it depends on the town too, 40 grand in their mind might be, if say their grand list is twice ours, that's kind of a drop in the bucket for them.
It's a small town.
Small town. Anyway.
That's the budget, right?
that's the budget.
So we got a couple things we need to talk about in executive session that
Yeah.
might affect the budget. And then once we come out of executive session, I would like to have you be part of that discussion so that we could go live and perhaps we can approve a final budget. Maybe not, I don't know. We'll see how the executive session goes and kind of go from there. So if we're good for now, we're at the point where we could do the closing public comment period. There's no one here.
Do we need to do anything else?
Well, hold on,
Correspondence?
can you stop sharing?
Hold on, stop and sharing.
Good night, Larry.
Night.
Good night,
Good
Larry.
night. Thanks for being
Safe,
here.
safe travels home.
Stopped.
So we
Can I
have
give
Bill.
can I give you my 2 cents and get off?
You sure can.
Just want to say thank you very much. I was very depressed today. I teach English to Vietnamese students. That's what I do at this point. Retired from St. Michael's. I've been on the planning commission long ago and far away, and it makes me such that I will be able to sleep well tonight, being close to government that I regard as healthy and having a lot of ingenuity to deal with the resources. So thanks a lot for the invitation to come. I enjoyed it. I'll come again at some point, but it's been a treat for me. I'll sleep better and I won't worry about all the other political problems that I have. So thanks a
Good.
lot, and I will say good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bill.
you.
Thank you, Bill.
Nice words.
That's very kind.
All right, so we've exhausted the virtual environment. We've exhausted this environment. So we've done the review of the approval of the warrants. The only thing that we didn't talk about was the food hub.
No.
Did we?
We did.
Oh, yeah,
We
no,
did?
that was in the
So that
budget,
was
yep.
in there? So
Or in
that'll
the,
So basically, there is no choice. The petition is there and it has to be added to the warning. So
Well, there you have it.
there you have it.
mhm.
There you have it.
And if it's approved, it will increase the budget by $2,000,
Yes,
Yes.
just so you know.
correct.
Because anything that ends up on the warning that gets voted for won't be on our printed one. It'll be added after.
Yeah. I think that one's probably got a pretty good chance of passing, I would guess.
We talked about the bus ride to Montreal on Monday while you guys were talking, and that was approved, so we're good to go there.
That goes
There was no
back to-
other correspondence, announcements, or schedules that we talked about aside from that. So I think we're at the point where we can now go into executive session. So
And you want to try to, maybe your plan is maybe to come out and we'll hang here and try to finalize another option. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm more than happy to hang around and fire this back up and keep going either way.
I am hoping that this will be not drawn out.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I'm hoping so too.
Okay.
So
And,
What's-
well, maybe we could do something live and then we could have the week to kind of check it over again.
Yeah, because I would
and have a-
definitely, before you guys approve it all,
Yeah.
go in and check all the equations and everything.
And then we
And we
have,
time
Till next
By next
Thursday,
week.
yeah.
Thursday to
Mhm.
approve it with all the parts.
and the warning would be specific,
Right.
shall the voters
Yeah, it has to
expend
be.
X,
Yeah.
we'll have it.
We
It'll
have
be
all
one
real
shot.
numbers.
Town report Friday, we're done.
We do have to go out, right.
Done,
But we're meeting next Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we don't hammer it out tonight,
Oh, no,
Yes.
You
Absolutely.
keep doing this, so I'm like, I'm
Sorry.
wondering if you're doing like
He's doing a little
casting a
dance.
spell on me or what's going on.
No,
over
I'm
there,
just
you know?
saying, I'm not discouraging from hashing out tonight. I want you to. I'm just saying, like what Jennifer said, to actually approve a final budget.
It won't, yeah.
But whatever. I'll shut up.
If it's taking you longer than you
So-
think tonight, you can always come out of executive session, say what you want to change, and then I can have the new version emailed to everyone tomorrow and online tomorrow, so
Okay.
however you want to do it.
I think that would be a good plan.
So we're gonna
Move to.
ready to move. Do you want to
Yep.
go in? Do you want to talk some? Like I don't.
No, I think you should move into executive session.
All right.
I'm gonna write it down.
You ready?
Go ahead.
I don't have the VSA 1.7 whatever blah blah blah.
I would just say to discuss personnel and salary.
Yeah.
Well, salaries should really, open salary changes should be an open session, but if they're regarding an individual and there's going to be discussion
There's
Yeah.
several individuals.
merit,
Not
that's okay.
yeah.
Yep. Okay, so I could,
So I'm going to move that we go into executive session to discuss personnel and salary for at least 2, possibly 3 town employees. And I'm remiss to telling you what VSA statute that is, but
Do you want to list those people?
no,
Kidding.
I hate this pen.
not Russ Clark.
I think it would go under 1 VSA 313A3 for employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee.
Yes,
And that would include salaries.
yeah,
So 1 VSA paragraph 313A3.
exactly what I was going to say.
I'll second that.
So is there any discussion before we vote? All right, here we go. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed with a nay. Motion carries 4-0. We are now in executive session. It is 9:05. I'm going to move that we come out of executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Patty. All those in favor of coming out of executive session, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Recording?
I am. So in executive session, we, as a group, reviewed the town workforce and have decided on some merit increases. And we are going to present those numbers to Jennifer this evening so that she can plug those variables into the next budget for us to consider. In addition to that, we made a decision
I should make a separate motion on that.
so we're gonna, Dan's gonna make a motion.
Did you move the salaries discussion handed to Jennifer?
Well, I'm just saying that it's the consensus. I think it's just, we can say it's the consensus of the group that we have agreed in executive session that we are going to consider market factor adjustments and merit increases for the town workforce. And as it relates to COLA, you're gonna make a motion, Dan?
I move that we adopt the COLA as measured by the state of Vermont, which will replace our previous commitment to tie our COLA increase to the federal level. Is there a second?
Second.
So it's been moved by Dan, seconded by Patty. Is there any discussion? My only comment is that where will the future boards find that number? That's from the state treasurer's office, or how do you?
When that comes out,
The Vermont Social Security Cost of Living
Is what we're going to follow,
is published
so
annually.
that's the proper term.
Yes,
and it's published annually.
yes.
Okay. Very good. Any other discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Is there any other, business thought proper?
Nope.
If not, I'll move that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved, seconded. All those in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. It is now 9:08 on the 16th of January. I'm ending the recording now.